Huge shout out to everybody over on that YouTube stream. I love y'all so very much, quite frankly. Ella with a 5. Thank you all so much. Let's see. Jalen with a 10. Thank you so much for the $10, Jalen. Everybody show some love to Jalen. Then Allison and Jonathan. There's like 10 people that donated $5. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And then also Jesus Christ with the $7 over on Venmo, and Clarice with a 5. And then Emery with a 2 and Laney with a 2. What's up, Jacob?
How you doing, dude?
You know, I'm actually doing pretty good. I've enjoyed my day here so far. Did you vote for Trump, man?
Yeah, I did.
Have we spoken before?
No, we have not.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Why'd you do it? Why'd you vote for Trump?
So the main reason why I voted for Donald Trump is for the immigration policy. When it actually comes to the tariff policy, I don't necessarily support it. I'm very neutral on that. Because I do think that some targeted tariffs are beneficial to the country. I think his broad tariffs aren't beneficial because it kind of puts tariffs on industries that aren't beneficial to the economy of the United States. So I think that a combination between Biden's plan and Trump's economic plan would have been the best economic plan overall. However, most of the reason why I voted for Trump was because of the immigration policy.
Jacob, we definitely have talked before, right?
How do you know, bro? It was one time.
I just have a unusually good memory.
Oh, that's pretty damn impressive because it was months ago.
I don't know.
I'll tell you the truth. The last time I tried to join this, I said yes, and you kicked me off, so I just said no to be able to stay on.
Chad, we'll leave it up to the chat. You sound like a decent guy.
Have you talked to me, Jacob?
No, I have not.
Okay, I say we keep him. I say we keep him. Yeah.
Okay.
But
What immigration policy?
Before you talk to him, Parker, I do want to ask Kev. You said Dean for jail in the chat. What is that? Is that how you feel?
After listening to Democrats all the time, you're
not a troll.
The demons in you guys.
Oh, he's not a troll.
I don't think Kev's a troll.
Oh wow,
no, Parker.
Kev, I
Dean,
thought that.
You both talked to me before. It's not against you particularly, Dean or Parker, but the Democrats that deserve jail time, like Cory Booker. They're the worst of the worst, man.
He's literally on the floor for like 20 hours filibustering.
And the guy's the worst. This is beyond politics.
What did he do? What did he do that was bad? What did Cory Booker do that was bad?
That's deserving of jail time.
Everything the Democrats stand for.
Wait. Why do I deserve to go to jail? Name one reason why I should be locked up.
You support the people that are absolutely terrorizers in this USA.
Who?
They don't like USA.
Like
they hate USA.
Who do I support?
Cory Booker, I guess.
Wait.
What
You're
has
telling
Cory
me
Booker done?
I should go to jail because I support Cory Booker, which is a man.
You support
that
the
is standing
Democrat
up for the American
ideology.
people.
The Democrat ideology.
What's a
Anyone
Democrat?
that is supported.
Okay, let's be very specific.
Ideology is anything against Trump, the TDS syndrome, and everything else. When Trump's trying to do everything he can to help this world and American values.
I hear you.
As much as I respect you, Dean and Parker, I've been on your live many times, Parker, and I love you guys. You guys are the next wave. I'm going to be unalived and gone before you guys hit Congress. But literally, you guys, God bless you and your
I have a question.
adventures.
I'm gonna
but
go
I'm
cut
telling
you off.
you, one day you'll become Republican. One day.
Kev,
I've already been.
I'm going to cut you off here, Kev. I have a couple things to say, but before I do, I need to thank 3 people for the donations. I'd really like to thank Briar for the $20 super chat over on YouTube. 200W Briars. Briar says, feeling the need to be quirky and different. Let's go, Briar. I love you. Then also Alan with the $50 super chat over on YouTube. I had to thank you, Alan. That is so much. Holy shit. Thank you, Alan. Alan says, how do you get to be so wise at 20 years old? Honestly, I don't think I'm wise. I just think I'm like over the shit of these people. So I just give it a very like melancholic reaction, but thank you so much for the love, Alan, with the $50, and then Brianna with the $20 over on PayPal, and Parker with the $10 on YouTube super chat. Show love to Brianna, show love to Parker. Alan with 500 W's for Alan and 200 W's for Briar. Can I just get a W donors from you, Kev? Can you say W? Can you say God bless Alan?
Thank you for the eight thingamabobbers. What I got.
With a space cat. Nice, Kev. Okay, so anyways, you think that me, Parker, Cory Booker, we should all be in jail for supporting these terrible Democratic ideologies?
Absolutely.
And the reason that
Well,
they're so
I'm
bad
not
is
saying
because
you
they perpetuate
the people.
they
Sorry, go
perpetuate like TDS, this Trump derangement syndrome, when in all reality, Donald Trump is just trying to do everything he can to save America and preserve high quality of life for everybody in our country. You're fucking wrong, and that's bullshit, and that is propaganda.
No,
sir.
I love you when you said that. I'm going to play back that right there, and it's saying that you agree with
Actually,
me.
Kev, what specifically has Cory Booker done that you disagree with?
Anything to screw with the Republican agenda.
Anything
That's
to screw
right.
with the Republican agenda. Okay, this is the issue. You think someone should go to prison if they do a filibuster to the Republican agenda? Do you realize how undemocratic
yes,
that is?
because
He's
Do
advocating.
you realize how tyrannical and authoritarian that is?
Because they are anti-American.
Imagine if Democrats were Imagine if Democrats were advocating for the same thing, that Republicans should be put in prison for filibustering their fucking agenda.
Wait, this guy's
Please
just-
tell me
Yeah,
how
but here's
fucking
the thing, though.
Republicans
There's
would
right
respond.
and wrong,
Kev,
and you
Kev,
guys
you're
are
just
on
a
the
straight
wrong
up-
side.
Kev, you're just a
How?
straight fascist.
You guys are young,
William, thank you for taking a
youngins.
shower. Kev,
You guys are
just
youngins.
Kev, you're
okay?
fascist.
You're young kids.
Kev, you're a fascist.
One day you're. Oh, hold on, man. You got yourself a meteorite.
I just wanted to
Say thank you for the meteorite.
I did. I said thank you, William, for the meteorite. But Kev, you are a straight up fascist. Like, so what you're advocating for is unironic fascism.
Nope.
Who are
I'm
the other?
an American.
Who are the
I'm
other?
a Democrat.
Kev,
I was a
Kev,
Democrat. Was a Democrat. I'm now a Republican.
Who are the other leaders throughout history that have advocated for individuals that disagree with their political ideologies to be in jail? I can think of a couple. Hitler comes to mind.
Not too many other people, man. Not too many other people.
Stalin comes to mind.
Putin. He's doing well,
Putin,
right?
Putin comes
Yeah,
to mind.
do you like
Hey,
Putin?
well, you know what? It all boils down
Do you like
comes to
the
Putin?
mind.
American way. The American.
It's
the
like
American
this guy doesn't
way.
hear me.
And Jacob, I love
Kim
Jacob.
Jong-un
Jacob,
comes
good
to
job
mind.
for voting for Trump.
Wait, do you think that
Parker, I listen to you all the time, buddy. I'm on your lives a lot.
Kev,
Did you hear my questions?
Do you think that the government of North Korea is immoral?
It's cutting in and out, brother.
Is the government of North Korea immoral? Because they lock.
Sorry, sir. It's cutting in and out.
Kev, do you disagree with the government of North Korea for locking up? And
Well, I mean,
persecuting their
it's the
political
equivalent
opponents?
of the Democrat Party.
No, it's the
If
equivalent
I
of
were to
you.
choose North Korea over the Democrat Party, I would choose North Korea. Let's put it that way.
Who would you choose, Putin or Kamala Harris?
Putin, for sure.
Oh my God.
Kamala Harris is a
bro.
lady that of the night that worked her way up.
Stop.
No,
stop,
Parker,
stop,
let him talk.
dude.
Let him talk. Let him
So-
talk. No. Parker, please don't interrupt
It's
him
true.
here.
It's true.
I want you to be able to. So I asked you if you'd
Then
rather.
let me
support-
talk, Parker. It's
I
true.
would-
and you
I would-
know it.
I would
but
rather.
you can't say it
Kev,
because you're
Kev,
in the Democrat
Kev,
Party.
Kev,
and your
I
agenda.
want you to be able to finish what you're saying there. So I asked you if you'd rather a vote for Putin or Kamala Harris, and then you said Putin because Kamala Harris is a lady of the night that has like slept her way to the top. Please continue explaining how you think it feel.
Oh yeah, she absolutely slept her way to the top, my friend. So
what we see, and
you
Kev,
know, the mayor.
Kev, if you would just allow
She
me to
was a
finish.
call girl.
Right. So what we see to be true of Kev.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
What we see to be true of Kev, Jojo. What we see to be true of Kev, alongside a lot of others.
Sorry, guys, I'm cutting in and out here.
What we see to be true of Kev, alongside a lot of other men in America, is the fact that they place their sexism, their racism, their hate, their prejudice above anything. There's no standard for you. I mean, your prejudice is unwarranted. You just told
Democrat
us
Party-
that you take no. How about
the
you shut the
Democrat-
hell up, Kev? You go on mute.
The Democrat
Wait, why did it mute
Party
Parker?
is
Why did it
nothing
mute
but
Parker?
terrorizers.
Bro, Kev, I'm going to go ahead and finish. If you don't let me finish, I'm going to kick you. The only time you could start speaking is when I finish speaking. Don't unmute yourself. So what Kev straight up just told us is that his prejudice, his hate, his bigotry, and his sexism is unfucking warranting. If you're telling me that you would genuinely take Putin, the dictator, the fascist that has killed, ethnically cleansed, and displaced hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians and prosecuted own Russian citizens if they're gay, if they're trans, that has killed and poisoned his political opponents and held on to power for the last 20 to 30 years. If you're telling me that you take him over Kamala Harris because you think that Kamala Harris slept her way to the top, not only are you a sexist pig, but you're incoherent as fucking shit. I mean, like, I seriously don't see the distinction between you and a third grader when we're speaking about the rational states that go through the brain of a third grader. If anything, I might be dissing on third graders.
For that.
No one can hear him. He's muted.
Your Democrat Party terrorizes people.
Like, Kev, I want you to like explicitly tell us what you think is terrorizing to the people.
You guys want to bash Teslas. You want to bash Elon for doing his job, for finding, illegal stuff, and it's sickening. It's sickening. The Democrat Party protests. If you guys put amount of energy into the United States that you do to protest or TDS syndrome or mental disability, it would be a great duty for your country. You guys would deserve to be in the military. You guys would come out Republican.
Kev,
I guarantee
Kev,
it.
You're just like not even making a coherent point. I
And-
have
and-
asked
and your
you over and
7,000
over again. Can you
followers are
please stop talking
misguided.
please stop talking for a second. Kev, when I'm asking you over and over
Sure,
again
yes,
to
sir.
elucidate on the point on specifically what you think Democrats are doing that you think is so bad that we should be put in prison, you think is so horrible that we're destroying the country, yet you can't mention any of the policies, any of the things that we support that would specifically be bad. Is it the healthcare we're providing, the childcare, the housing affordability, the food stamps? Are those the policies that are hurting people? The environmental regulations that ensure that we have clean drinking water and clean environmental standards so that people don't die of pollution? Please tell me what specifically are we advocating for that is going to hurt the country?
So what Democrat is out there making sure that we get fresh bottled water? Tell me that. Tell me that, Parker.
Democrats that supported clean water regulations that exist currently under law right
Yeah,
now,
because-
and also are literally being advocated for through
Do you
the
remember-
infrastructure bill, the bipartisan
Minnesota
infrastructure
and all
listen,
those people?
the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which specifically got lead out of drinking pipes for clean drinking water. Republicans historically are not addressing those types of infrastructure issues. Donald Trump didn't get an infrastructure bill passed. He could not work with the other side, and he's literally undermining EPA regulations. He's undermining environmental standards and regulations. Those things Donald Trump has perpetuated throughout not only his first administration, but he's continuing into his second administration.
Yeah, also, just the Biden-Harris administration issued a final rule as an executive order.
All I know is we can agree to disagree. I
Biden-Harris
give you the
administration
most
issued a final
respect,
rule as an
Dean
executive-
and Parker.
The Biden-Harris administration issued an executive order in October of 2024 stating that all systems across the country that supply water to Americans or anybody in America need to identify and replace all lead pipes within the next 10 years. So, like, there's actually an executive order set by the Biden-Harris administration to make sure that every single American is drinking water that's supplied through pipes that are not lead. And that's on top of the pipes that they replaced through the $1 trillion of funding under the infrastructure bill.
Good on.
Would you be able to name one of these really bad bills that the Biden-Harris administration passed? Because, listen, man, if you're saying that Democrats are this and that and they all need to be imprisoned for being traitors and harmful and violent, I'm going to go ahead and assume that, you know, the big two Democrats, Biden and Harris, over the last 4 years did something bad. So what was one bad domestic policy they passed?
I don't even think they passed any kind of policies, to be honest with you.
No, that's
Jesus,
not-
Lord
that's
Almighty,
not true.
they've been the most useless pieces of yahoos in the world, man.
Kevin,
It
that-
is,
that-
man.
that
it
claim-
really is.
That claim is objectively, Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and speak.
I never gained
Got it.
with Biden and
Kevin, so what you just told us is objectively false. It is the case that the Biden-Harris administration was the most productive administration in modern American history insofar as influencing and passing domestic policy. You actually cannot debate that, as that is a fact. You can only argue that the policy they passed was bad, but you can't say they didn't pass any. They passed the PACT Act, the Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, the CHIPS and Science Act, among many others, as well as many executive orders. They passed significantly more policy than Donald Trump did under his first administration. So, Kev, facts matter, and the fact of the matter is they passed the most domestic policy out of any modern American history in a 4-year time span. And I digress that you, sir, are nothing but a conspiracy theorist who denies facts and contorts your version of reality to be a cultist to the Orange Man. And it's incredibly sad to see in the big 2025. He's muting himself, I think.
I'm in PJ's right now.
Kev, I don't think anybody could. I don't think that.
Yeah, Kev, no one can hear you. Kev, no one can hear you in the comment section right now because it's.
Dude,
this guy can't listen to me, dude. I'm telling you something right now so that people can hear you in the chat, Kev. No one on. Kick him off. He's just an annoying piece of shit. Fuck you. There's no way.
Can we actually have a debate yet, or like?
Valid crash out, because you were just trying to tell him how he could be heard by the chat over here on TikTok, and he was just like not willing to even listen to that. That's pretty crazy.
It's actually annoying.
Valid crash out. By the way, I would like to say, if you're watching on TikTok right now, if my stream gets taken down, head over to YouTube, link in bio. But I will also say, if you'd like to support me, you can find my Venmo and the PayPal in the link tree in my bio, where you could support me. I get 100% of the proceeds. I could give you a shout out with your name, as well as an attached message that I'll read off. You could also find the Venmo and the PayPal and the link message over on YouTube, as well as you can support through Super Chat. But anyways, Jacob, take it away. Tell Parker why you voted for Trump. But before you do, I really got to thank Lulu for the $20 Super Chat over on YouTube. Thank you, Lulu. Lulu says, for the Anime Rivals debate we got yesterday, Naruto friendship. I appreciate you for the $20, Lulu. You're awesome. Huge shout out to Lulu. But take it away, Jacob. Go ahead and tell Parker why you voted for Trump. I think that you told us that you wanted to start with immigration policy, so take it away.
Yeah, so I was going to first off say, like, when it comes to like the economic policy, I think prioritizing like protecting U.S. industries with tariffs, like Trump's approach with that regard is stronger. But with Biden's approach of like government investment and incentives for long-term industrial growth, that was also very effective. So I think that there's a good medium between the Republican and Democratic Party between this the economy, like a hybrid approach with strategic tariffs and industrial investment.
That's actually the Democratic position.
What's that?
That's actually the Democratic position. Is that they agreed with targeted tariffs, right? And then they wanted to increase domestic manufacturing in the United States through things like the CHIPS and Science Act.
If targeted tariffs are actually a Democratic a Democrat standpoint, then I guess you could say that. I thought it was more of an independent standpoint, but I'll move on to the immigration, because this is where I kind of lean Republican. So under Biden, he ended the Remain in Mexico policy, which was in 2021. His policy forced asylum seekers to wait in Mexico. Well, Trump's policy actually forced asylum seekers to wait in Mexico while their claims were processed, of which Biden ended, and it led to more migrants to cross. He limited Title 42 expulsions, of which it had a brief spike as migrants.
Can we stop on the first one? Can we stop on the first one with the Remain in Mexico? Because the Remain in Mexico portion you're referencing is applicable to the asylum process, and applicable to the asylum process, are you saying that you want people who literally are seeking asylum from Mexico to be staying in Mexico while they seek asylum?
I wouldn't say that. It's just that the fact that we have such a broken asylum seeker, our asylum seeker system is broken now because of Biden, because of all the immigrants that have crossed the border. So otherwise, I would agree with you on that point. But as we could see, that obviously didn't work, because we have over 2 million cases pending, which makes it literally impossible to process cases quickly. Like literally all the immigration courts are backlogged.
Wait, the reason why they're backlogged is because Donald Trump called for people in Congress to undermine a bipartisan border bill that would have increased the amount of immigration judges. It would have limited the amount of people who can be encountered at the border. And it would have also built more of the wall than Trump ever built under his administration. So that was a conservative-leaning border bill that Donald Trump called for people in Congress to undermine, which would have addressed the concerns that you're acknowledging right here.
But that's the
But
problem,
Donald
though,
Trump didn't care
because
about that.
but Parker, you're disregarding the amount of border crossings there were, but prior to that bill. That bill was like that bill was introduced
So
in
what
like
bill?
the third year of Biden's term, and that was and that
Wait,
came
do
later
you
in
mean
Biden's
the
term.
wait? Hold up. Do you mean the Remain in Mexico?
Not remain in
Or are you
Mexico.
referencing the bipartisan border bill? The bipartisan border bill was never passed.
Right, but I'm saying that was near the end of Biden's term, and at that point, the situation was still at large, and that wouldn't have just fixed it. You can't like the
It
problem
was
that
a
I
year
see
and a
from
half before
wait,
the
wait,
end of
wait.
his term.
The problem that I see with the liberal standpoint of this is you guys disregard the amount of border crossings there were in the initial, and then you try to flip it on us and blame the Republican Party for not passing the bipartisan border bill, of which the bipartisan border bill had $20 billion allocated to the border, and all the other money allocated to external things like Ukraine and other things like that. So if you want to like completely like focus on the border bill itself, then you could then at that point
Yeah,
you could reference
you
you
know
could
all that
reference the
pork?
standalone border bill, and once you
know
you
all that
reference the
pork?
standalone border bill, that just turns into a that just turns into like politics at that point, because at that point the border situation was already at large, and that's pretty much just the liberals trying to take a initiative towards fixing it, but at that point it was already too far gone. So it's like that bill, even if it was passed, it wouldn't have really saved much.
That's just not true, right? That's over. That's like almost 2 years ago at this point that you would have had a border bill done that would have been in effect still to now, which we do not have a border bill to that degree that would have affected that. Secondly, if you want to reference this in terms of the funding of the bill, you said like the 80-20 split. What you're not recognizing is that the bill was separated between the solo border bill and the foreign provisions for appropriations for funding, right? And the appropriations passed, whereas the border bill alone did not pass. Okay, so Donald Trump was specifically trying to limit the border contents of the bill, not the aid funding.
Well, from my perspective, from what I see of that is, I think that it was mostly just playing politics when it comes to the standalone border bill, and I think that's a big reason of why it didn't get passed, because I think that Republicans thought that liberals were trying to take a credibility for protection of the U.S. border whenever it actually was mishandled in the first place. And let me ask you this question. So if the border bill was so important and it should have been passed, like you
I'm
guys
gonna hop in
pushed,
here when I get a chance.
Wait,
I just want to
so
put
like
that one out
so
there.
if it was that important, then why did Biden overturn all of Trump's prior border legislation? Why are you guys pushing that bill so hard whenever all Biden had to do is just leave it alone?
Let me.
It's not at all.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, Jacob, you seem to be very confused about the immigration policy that we've seen set forth by liberals and the immigration policy that we've seen set forth by MAGA and Trump. So, the first thing that I want to acknowledge is that Donald Trump, since 2015 until today, has never done so much as spoken into a mic on a podium about a long-term solution to reduce undocumented migration into America. Not once, okay? The root cause of undocumented migration into America is neglected and slow legal means of entry into our country. There has never been one time where he's went in front of a mic and said, we need to make the legal means of entry into our country better. We need to reinvent the wheel, reduce the amount of time that it takes, make it more effective, make it faster, and make it less expensive, okay? And that would be the only way to effectively reduce undocumented migration in the long term, okay? And the reason why me, Parker, and other liberals will talk about this bipartisan border bill under the Biden-Harris administration so much is because that is the first piece of legislation in Congress since, as far as my knowledge goes, the beginning of Donald Trump's first term to, in some sense, expedite the legal means of entry into our country, in which Donald Trump then responded to by telling Republicans to vote against it. And you cannot blame that on the pork in the bill because they didn't vote against the pork. They're funding for the other countries. In fact, they still fucking passed it. This is why I think Kamala Harris was better for immigration compared to Donald Trump, because she at least had some sense of a long-term solution to reduce undocumented migration. Meanwhile, Donald Trump still has none, not to mention my vehement hate for mass deportation. It is bad in every single conceivable sense. It's bad for the undocumented migrants. It's bad for citizens. It's bad for qualities of life. It's bad for government revenue. It's bad for GDP growth. It's bad for the labor force. It's bad for the prosperity of the American economy. And that is why I say that Donald Trump is so terrible for immigration.
So I understand your point on that, but when it comes to the Biden and Harris administration, they mishandled the means of people coming into this country easier. It was exponential. Like they couldn't. We have backlogged immigration courts, like I said prior, and asylum laws allow many migrants to stay like while waiting for hearings, even if they don't qualify. So like we basically have everything backlogged up to this point to where it's like they failed so miserably. I'd way rather.
Wait, you think that they caused a backlog?
I would way rather support a candidate that prioritizes the U.S. citizens and security rather than one that mishandled it.
No, wait, well, I want to clarify, because he doesn't have a long-term solution to reduce undocumented entry into our country. He is not prioritizing the security of American citizens, nor is he prioritizing neither is he prioritizing the economic safety of American citizens. Is his plan for mass deportation actively hurts the economic safety, not only of Americans, but as the country as a whole. Not to mention, you said that the Biden-Harris administration was culpable for backlogs in our asylum processes, culpable for backlogs in the legal means of entry into our country. That's a fucking lie. Stop spreading propaganda on my live.
That's not propaganda. That's
it
just
is
true.
Why do you think that the systems? Jacob, I'm still speaking. Why do you think the systems of asylum and legal entry into America were backlogged at the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration?
I mean, whenever you have 10 million border crossings, then yeah, absolutely, that's going to happen. I mean, we had 2 million cases pending.
Answer my question. Why was there so many cases pending and backlogged in the first 2 years of the Biden-Harris administration?
Because of the amount of people that came in.
And why were there so many people that came in or wanted to come into our country in the first 2 years of the Biden-Harris administration?
So I will give you this. I know what you're trying to get into is the humanitarian crisis whenever it comes to like Latin America and other things like that. There are external factors that have to do with it.
Here's what it was caused by. COVID and Title 42. COVID destroyed economies south of America much more than the American economy. Title 42 prevented the entry of anybody south of America from entering into our country for 2 years. What did that lead to? Systems that were stacked and backlogged with so many fucking people. And the day that bill expired, they all began pouring into the systems of entry which they wanted. Okay? And so when you tell me that Biden and Harris are responsible for that, you are lying. The only thing that the Biden-Harris administration could have done in response to the fact that individuals had backlogged entry into America was to try to expedite those court processes by hiring more judges and funding more to the southern border. What did they try to do? Exactly fucking that. That is exactly what they tried to do.
When did they try to do that?
So this bill hit the floor of Congress in 2023. It began getting drafted in late 2021 by Langford and Chris Murphy.
When did Biden get in office?
The reason why, in January of 2021, this began getting drafted in late 2021. Why did it take so long? That's quick. That's a 6-month turnaround to the date when it began getting drafted. And the reason why it took so long to hit the floor of the House was because the border and border security is an incredibly partisan issue, and it was hard to get Republicans and Democrats to come together. But I just love the fact that you will continue to ignore the fact that the only reason that bill didn't get passed and we didn't have expedited means of entry into our country, which has led to longer lines and more undocumented entry into America, is because Donald Trump torpedoed that piece of legislation, and seemingly you don't give a shit. If you want to critique the only person that had involved themselves with immigration in the last 4.5 years in a negative manner, you must critique Donald Trump. He is the only person that has actively made bad decisions to make the processes of immigration into America worse and to cause more undocumented entry in the long term.
Okay, also remain in Mexico, right? 2019, he signed it through an executive order. It's an executive order. He could have done it day one. Why did he wait multiple years to implement the remain in Mexico policy if you think that is exactly how you fix the border? He knew it day one. He could have done it day one.
Say that one more time.
The remain in Mexico border policy that you were perpetuating is such a great thing, an incredible policy. It's an executive order. Donald Trump could have done it the first day of office. Why did he wait until 2019?
Probably because there wasn't a border problem at the beginning of his term.
There wasn't. He ran on the border being an issue. What are you talking about?
Well, it wasn't nearly as much of a problem as it was later on.
Oh, so it got worse under his administration. It wasn't a problem when he first got into office, and by the time he left office, it was a problem. Is that your view?
Let me back up.
Is it Donald Trump that made the problem?
No, it was not Donald Trump that made the problem. He was the one that actually fixed the problem. So what I'm trying to say,
so there was a pre-existing problem. So why didn't he do it day one?
how many people came into the country under Donald Trump?
Complete
Without
pivot
the
from
bill.
what I just said.
Without the bill.
Complete pivot from what I just said. Why didn't he do it day one?
Was it necessary?
I'm asking you. Why didn't he do it day one?
Well, if we look at how many border crossings there were in the beginning of his term, you'll see that there's not that many, which means that he probably had a lot of.
Okay, so
security.
there were a lot in 2019 when he implemented it, and that's why he had to implement it then. So why were there not many when he first got in office, and then there were a lot when he had to implement remain in Mexico? So it wasn't an issue, and then it was once he was president.
Well, it's mostly external factors, but.
Oh, okay. So then why don't you blame external factors for what happened under the Biden-Harris administration? Why do you blame the Biden-Harris administration? Why do you say, oh, why didn't they do this right away? When again, Biden or I said Biden, Dean said 6 months after they did it, right? So you can't compare the 2 years where Donald Trump could have done it on day one to the 6 months where they have to get it through legislation and it relies on the legislative branch. It's not the executive branch that can just sign it through an executive order.
Right, absolutely. But my point here is.
What is your point?
My point is you guys are pivoting just like I am, like you
What?
claim I am, because this is what you're saying. You're blaming most of the border crossings on COVID-19 and external factors, right? But you guys
let me be extra clear.
But
no,
you
because
guys
you're
aren't
misquoting me. Because
addressing-
you're not correctly representing my view.
Why would I want to correctly represent? What are you talking about?
Why would you want to correctly represent his view?
You bad faith debater.
What do you mean?
You're like, why should I engage in good faith debate? Did you really just say that?
No,
Essentially?
I absolutely want to engage in good faith debate. I thought you were just.
Maybe you
I thought you meant
misspoke.
something else.
Maybe
I thought you were saying
probably
that I
did
had an
misspeak.
equivalency with
No,
your-
I was
with
just
your-
saying that you didn't correctly represent my view.
Okay, how did I do that?
Yes, because you
How did
said
I not do that?
that I think that you said that I think that immigration, that COVID caused mass entry into our country. I think that COVID caused mass backlogging through the legal means of entry into our country. Then the lack of action on behalf of the Biden-Harris administration because Donald Trump told Republicans to torpedo the bipartisan border bill is what therefore caused mass undocumented entry into America because the legal means were so backlogged and nothing had been done about it, which then led to the crisis that Donald Trump ran on, in which he still has no long-term fixes for. And that's my big issue, man. Donald Trump has no valuable immigration policy under his administration. He only has harmful immigration policy under his administration. Mass deportation is harmful. Short-term border solutions is harmful. Taking and stripping due process away from migrants is harmful. Deporting a dad from Maine to a prison in El Salvador that he's spending millions of dollars on per year where we can't get him back from is harmful. Okay? All of his immigration policy is harmful, does nothing good for our country, and only makes his ignorant, prejudiced white supporters clap and jeer in their seats. That's all.
So what's more harmful, not having a long-term plan on immigration, or having 10 million border crossings?
Well, wait.
Name one way that undocumented migrants in America hurt America.
By getting paid under the table and not paying a fair share in taxes.
Okay.
Wait.
Undocumented migrants.
That's like the
Hey,
easiest
Jacob?
response. I literally have a friend that works in the construction.
Look at Donald
industry that
Trump's
works-
fucking
Wait,
tax
Parker.
returns.
Hold on, Parker. Let me finish. I literally have a
Okay.
friend that works in the construction industry that works alongside illegal immigrants, and they literally get paid under the table and do not pay taxes. A lot of them do.
Okay. Hey, Jacob, you just made my argument stronger. Do you want to know why?
Sure.
Undocumented migrants today pay $100 billion in taxes per year. If you're saying that they're more likely to accept wages under the table because they don't have a documented status in America, well, what happens if we did give them a documented status in America through mass amnesty?
So do you
All
think
of a
we should
sudden
just
they
give
know?
it to
How
them on
about
a
you
gold
shut the
platter?
fuck up, Jacob? Why are you? What, bro? Holy shit! Can you just not interrupt for like 30 seconds?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ!
I apologize.
So you're making my argument stronger. The reason you're making my argument stronger is because today, undocumented migrants pay $100 billion per year in taxes. You're arguing that they're much more likely than citizens to accept wages under the table and not pay taxes. So that means that if we give them residency or citizenship, They'll go from paying $100 billion per year in taxes to significantly more than $100 billion in taxes per year, because a lot of them, under the same material conditions they're in today, working the same jobs for the same employers they are today, will go from accepting wages under the table that they don't pay taxes on to accepting them over the table with their brand new SSN paying taxes to our government just like you and me. So here's the deal. That is why mass amnesty is significantly better than mass deportation. With one decision, one policy, with no material change in the state of any undocumented migrant in our country, apart from the fact that they now have legal residency, they go from paying $100 billion per year in taxes to more.
So I don't necessarily support mass deportation. I think that's something that's not like the best way to handle it. However, do you think that it's fair to just give them everything on a silver platter whenever there's other people that have wanted to get into this country legally for years? How is it fair to them?
Oh,
American dream. I mean,
you
you
give
believe
them
in the
all.
American dream,
You
right?
just give them all. You give all like the migrants that are coming into our country right now, as well as the undocumented migrants, this new expedited pathway to residency or citizenship. That's fair.
Yeah, and you believe in the American dream. The American dream being that it's going to be better for our children in the future than it was for us. So obviously we want to make it better for Americans, right, if we can, right, for the future, even if Americans in the past didn't receive those same benefits.
Then also, I just want to clarify, I'm okay with your usage of the term silver platter there. I think that citizenship should be on a silver platter for anybody that wants it, that hasn't had any prior violent offenses. I think that we should be marketing that to as many people as possible, to give it to as many people as possible. Anybody that wants it should be able to get it. It only strengthens our country.
I think that it would be beneficial for our country to introduce more immigration to where we can have more people working and stimulating our economy. Absolutely. But however,
I
all
have a question,
but
actually.
Here's the
Wait.
problem, though. Let me finish real quick.
I will.
The problem, though, with that is that I identified that there's already an issue with the system in itself. So
What is Donald Trump doing to fix it?
we have to fix the system first, and
What is Donald Trump doing to fix it?
Donald Trump is not doing anything to fix it.
Yeah, good boy. Thank you.
Okay.
So
Jacob,
Dean,
so
Dean, do not say good boy whenever I actually concede as a Republican and give you a point, man. Like you want
okay.
me to join the side, right?
okay.
So I just want to clarify, the only reason why I called you good boy there, it wasn't because you made the concession. I actually am quite thankful for that, but rather that sassiness is rooted in the fact that I've been going back and forth with you on the matter of immigration for the last 30 minutes, and I feel as if you've been incredibly dense, and this has not been a productive conversation. In retrospect, I guess I'll say that your point's fair. I apologize for calling you good boy, but on, another note, maybe I meant it. Maybe I do think you
Okay, Jacob, would you be okay with 1 to 2% population growth per year?
Absolutely, yeah, because our country.
Okay, so then what's your issue with? Wait, so then what's your issue with 10 million people coming over 4 years? That's less than 1%.
The lack of checks and balances between those people.
What?
I mean, like I said, I'm supportive of a system that actually makes it to where that it's doable. However, our system is already broken because of Biden and Harris. So you can't turn around
How
and
is
say,
it broken?
Oh,
wait, how is 10 million people broken if you said you were okay with 1 to 2% population growth per year? That's
It's
less than
broken.
1%.
Parker, it's broken because of the asylum seekers system is broken right now in
Wait,
America.
but how is that broken at that level? You said that. Wait, you just said because the amount of people that are let in. You have no issue with 10 million people coming over 4 years. You actually want more than that.
I said that I don't have a specific number on how many people I want to come into the country, but I think it does stimulate economic growth if we do introduce people into the country. However, our asylum seeker system is broken, and we have a bunch of people on backlogs, which means that we have to fix
What
that
are we looking
first.
for? Wait, Jacob, I have a question. What are we looking for when we have these backlogs? Right? Do you think there should be what type of process do you think should exist for immigration, for legal immigration?
It's very hard to have a process when you have over 2 million cases pending. That's the problem. It's very hard to fix that.
And if you don't fund enough immigration judges, if you don't fund enough court systems, if you don't fund enough officers to be able to deal with the influx of people, then that's true. But that's not an issue if you actually fund the fucking government and you don't cut federal employees like Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, I think that Elon. I don't want to get into all that, but I don't think Elon's the best for that job. Obviously, I mean he's